Hello friends, Molly Pompadith here, CEO of the SOAR Community Network and co-founder of SOAR Community Nebula. Our goal this year is to interview 1,000 champions of change and community builders all over the world. And today we have Miss Shoshanna French. Shoshanna, thank you so much for being with us.
Hi, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we always start the interview by having you tell our audience who you are and the work that you do in the world.
So I'm here in Denver, Colorado in the United States. And the work that I do is I work with entrepreneurs and impact leaders to make the difference in the world they want to make with way less stress and way more joy. What I find is that so many people like you and I who are really up to doing big things in the world often are doing it sometimes to the detriment of taking care of ourselves. And so I work with these really powerful, highly effective and quite successful people who are ready to grow to even be more successful, but they can't imagine it because it's like, how would I find the time to do that? And how I'm not even taking care of myself now. How would I take care of myself if I got even busier? So I teach entrepreneurs and these leaders how to use intuition inside of making decisions so that they can ask different questions. So instead of asking questions like, how can I get it all done? They ask questions like, how can we have a win-win? How can I win in the right way for the right reasons? So that's the kind of work I do.
How do you teach people to tap into their intuition?
Oh, yes, that is the secret question, isn't it? How I teach people. So intuition to me is actually something that people are already using. And depending on who I'm teaching it to, we talk about instincts. Everybody has instincts, like that sense you have of something feels good or something doesn't feel good. What I have people do is just turn up the volume on it by learning that it's not mysterious. It is something that everybody has. So mostly what we start with is, I call it like, what is your full body yes and your full body no? And so when people learn that and then apply it, they can notice when they're tugged one way or the other. And mostly, I in the 20 some years that I've been teaching this work, I do meet people sometimes who would say like, I don't know if I've had an intuitive experience, but after talking to people, have never met anyone who said, oh, I definitely have never had an intuitive experience. 0 people have said that. And I've talked from, people who would be names that people would know that are pretty well-known, famous kind of people to, this guy that I met when I was in Puerto Rico and was in Spanglish, but we were talking about spiritos and he would like the spirit and all of that. And he was talking about trusting his intuition and that's how he met his wife. And that's how he, you know what I mean? So, every kind of person all over the world that I've talked to, everybody's had that experience.
Right. Great. Well, that's fascinating work. I'm going to talk to you more offline about that. As you think about the people in your life who have made a significant difference, perhaps there's a story, a particular leader or person that you want to share, however you want to address it. Was there a time in your life where someone showed extra love and empathy and compassion, or just really wanting to give of themselves to support you and help you to see the world the way that you do today, shifted you in some profound way?
I would say that I am privileged in how many people that I've met on my path since, when I was 18, for me sort of started the path into leadership, like real leadership at my college and then kind of, moving through time. And so I could mention a ton of different leaders, but the one that right now kind of just strikes me to share about is I did this body of work. I worked for an educational company and I led programs for them. And there was this person sort of sitting at the desk making calls for the organization. And he looked at me and he said, his name was Tubton, of all names, right? Comerford. And he said, he was like, you're a rock star. And no one had ever said that to me before. And I was like, what makes you say that? And because I thought when someone says rock star, to me, what I thought that meant was like people like you, or you have some special thing that other people don't have. But what he said was, no, you care. Your caring is the rock starness of you. And that's the thing that is needed in leadership here. And so kind of his encouragement, and it was like maybe a 30-second conversation, literally, was enough encouragement for me to join a leadership program at that organization, which I kind of credit with the beginnings of me coming into my leadership and trusting that I could make a difference with no matter what kind of person you put in front of me. All people are human beings and I can make a difference. And so I don't think I've ever even actually told him that, probably. So maybe he'll see this interview and I'll have to Instagram message him and let him know how much I appreciate him and what a difference he made. But just that 30-second, it taught me something now, even as I'm telling this story. I've told other people, but I've never told him, which is that even 30 seconds can impact and change the rest of someone's life. I mean, it was a 30-second conversation and it had me go into a leadership program that I didn't think I was good enough for. But because he said, you're a rock star, it had me trust that he could see something I couldn't. So that would be that's what strikes me right now, is that leadership moment.
Wow, we have to make sure that he sees this for sure.
Yeah, like I'm going to have to reach out to Tupton.
Cool. All right. So as you surround yourself with amazing people, the work that you do, you're spending time not only coaching them and supporting them, but you have a community of folks that surround you, who lift you up. When you think of those community builders and those change agents, people who champion for positivity and a great ripple effect that everybody can benefit from, what characteristics, possible trends, what's the overarching theme around who they are, how they operate? What comes to mind?
I would say that there are, of the leaders that, not even just that I admire, but the ones who are actually making the biggest difference, what I have seen like as a theme, I would say the very first one is transparency. The leaders that I most respect and have learned the most from are the ones who don't pretend that they're not human. Mm-hmm. So they'll tell you about their foibles and they'll tell you about their mistakes and the failures that they've had. And so like that to me, so transparency for sure. A second one is heart, like just whether they're super intelligent and like they're crazy smart, which are some of the leaders that I know, no matter what, the kind of force behind what they're doing in the world is their heart, like their love for something. And I would say that's the second thing. And for sure, the third thing, I think I said four things, but the third thing that right now is just like poking me is like the ability to take, I don't want to say criticism, but like their willingness to see when something isn't working. You know what I mean? Like I can just think of like a couple leaders recently who got feedback from someone and they could have been like, don't you know who I am? Why would you have feedback from me? But instead they were, okay, thank you, I'll consider that. And you know, in all cases, they really did consider it. And in two cases, they totally changed something. So to me, that would be the three things: transparency, heart, and the willingness to take criticism. Like it's not even about having thick skin, like that, you know, criticism isn't going to take you down, but the willingness to consider that there's another way. So flexibility, maybe we could call that flexibility.
Yeah, flexibility, or you know, just the openness to not knowing everything. You know, they're knowledge seekers and truth seekers. We think we know something, and then there's another perspective that shifts it, and we have to take that into consideration. So that's really cool. I think flexibility sounds better. Yeah. All right. So now let's talk about how you are utilizing your personal talents and gifts and personal experiences, work experiences, life lessons to pay it forward, to help shift your community in some way.
Right now in my family, I have 6 nephews and 3 nieces. So I have a big family of kiddos, and quite a few of them are in high school. And so my focus has been to support organizations that support teenagers in our local area. So one's called Colorado Youth at Risk. It's not just in Colorado, it's all over the country, but this particular organization, when people come to me and they're looking for places to volunteer, I highly recommend this place. They need mentors. And then in general, if I know people who have teens that are at risk, I recommend the organization. And I even had one of my nephews went through their program, and it was super powerful and really transformed him from failing student to now he's in straight A's 4 years later. And I don't think it would have been possible had he not gone through the programming at Colorado Youth at Risk. So they get some of my money, but they definitely I should give shout outs. I've done coaching with some of their staff. I used to do work with their executive director where I just like volunteer my time. And right now what I've been working on is studying a type of mindfulness. It's like a mindfulness and stress releasing technique. And then I'm going to try to there's a prison actually super close to our house. Like in the area we live in, it's, I don't know that's a prison, but it's like a high security local jail for our area. And so I'm going to look to join a program that already exists that brings mindfulness to prisoners. So that's like, those would be the two things right now. And then after, I have 3 nephews graduating from high school, like in 8 weeks. So after they graduate, then I think probably I'll volunteer with Colorado Youth at Risk. So those are kind of the places right now where I feel most pulled, is to help prisoners, but also to help teenagers. So
that's great. Really fantastic. Mindfulness is awesome, right? There's a lot of it going on, but we see now there are metrics to show the true impact of it. So it's taken more seriously, which is really amazing. And I love seeing this trend. It's awesome that you're gonna move into that direction and support these folks. So when you have difficult times and perhaps it's just a bad day, is there a mantra, a motto, a philosophy that you tap into, or a quote that helps you move forward, that helps you stay positive?
The two things, like there's not one thing I would say 2 things. One is that, like something that my mom always told me, which is that people mistake that peace, that the goal is to have peace be on the outside, like to work really hard to have circumstances line up and less challenge or confrontation external. And she said where the greatest challenges or conflicts are internal ones. And so she kind of trained me, she's a hippie, she trained me to like go inward and listen for where I'm conflicted inside, to resolve those conflicts and not, so it's kind of like do your inner work, I guess, if you had to have a motto, or it's like do your inner work. And if you're doing your inner work and you're stuck, the other motto is you're never alone. So I always, then if I'm stuck and I can't get unstuck, then I have not just my husband, but I have a coach, and then I have people who are trusted, confidants that I call or text or message or whatever and get the support I need. So I feel like I can always find the answers within, or that I can find support outside.
That's fantastic.
I guess in saying both of those things, I would say probably then my motto is like everything's work outable. I would say that's probably my motto. Like everything is work. There's nothing that isn't actually work outable.
That's cute.
I think Maria Forleo just wrote a book called that. And when I read it, I was like, she took that from me. She's so smart. Like that totally is a thing. It's everything is work outable.
Wow. So then, Shoshanna, what does a better world look like through your eyes?
I've been thinking about that a lot this year. I would say one in which there's more tolerance, and the division that exists, not just in our country, but in the world, like the divisions that occur because of politics or religion, or even geographical things that cause division, that like a better world is one in which we are recognizing our similarities, like acknowledging our differences, but recognizing how we're more alike than how we're not. Mm-hmm. That to me is a better world. And one in which, not that is conflict-less, but that the conflicts that do exist can actually be resolved. So that would be a better world for sure.
Yeah, it certainly would be.
Yeah.
Anna, how can our audience learn more about you, connect with you, get a better sense of the work that you do? What's the best way?
So if you're listening and you are in the corporate world, you should go to shoshannafrench.com. That's explains more about the corporate work I do. If you're an individual and you just happen to be watching this, you should go to simplespirit.com. That's more the work I do with individuals. Either way, you can find me. I am easy to find.
Yes, you cannot forget a name like that.
I'm the only one on Facebook, so that says something.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. And you let us know where you're calling from, because we're trying to let people know that we're tracking folks from everywhere to be a part of this initiative. So you're in Denver or what
Denver.
part?
Yep, Denver, Colorado.
All right. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for dialing in today. We really appreciate you. Thanks
Thank
for all the
you.
wonderful work that you do. And for those that are tuning in, thank you for following us and for being a part of this initiative to highlight awesome, awesome souls who care to create a better world. And so please consider nominating yourself. And if you know somebody in the community who's really creating some positive ripple effects, please nominate them. Go to nebula.soarcommunitynetwork.com. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. Take care.